You look at financial success and think of freedom. You imagine cars, watches, limitless travel. But I must confront you with an uncomfortable truth that Stoicism teaches. What you pursue to appear free is, in reality, your new and more sophisticated prison. Vanity is not an optional luxury. It is, in fact, the costliest form of servitude that money can purchase. Consider this for a moment. What was the last high-priced item you acquired not for the utility it would bring to your life, but solely for what it would say about you to others? Every cent spent sustaining that image is a slice of your peace of mind that you have handed over on a silver platter to external approval. What you buy to impress, you discover, actually traps you in a cycle of upkeep, fear of loss, and an incessant need for more. Try a mental exercise now. Picture yourself beside Seneca, our Stoic master, strolling through the upscale streets of a modern city. You observe the lives of the elite, the mansions hidden behind high walls, the private jets. And through the Stoic lens you realize that true poverty does not reside in a lack of possessions, but in the chronic compulsion to always have more and to display what you have. Ostentation is a symptom of internal lack, a desperate attempt to fill a void that consumption can never reach. The Stoic keeps an emotional ledger. Your financial statements show costs in dollars, but the ledger of your soul records the real price, your peace and your time. When your ego dictates your spending, it robs your margin of safety and demands that you work continuously to maintain the spectacle. You become a hostage to the next paycheck, not because you need to eat or shelter, but because you must sustain an image you constructed. That is why you must answer the crucial question now, the compass that will guide your entire journey toward true wealth. Who is in control of your economic decisions? Are you, guided by reason and by what is sufficient for your purpose and happiness? Or are you a shadow of others' opinions about who you ought to be? If your prosperity depends on the gaze of others, it is extraordinarily fragile. You will be confronted with the truth. Vanity is the silent thief that empties your wallet and, worse, robs you of autonomy. Your journey towards Stoic wealth begins with a fundamental distinction, the dividing line that Epictetus carved in marble, the circle of control. You must accept that, in the game of money, there are factors you control and factors you do not. The effort you devote to your work, the quality of your judgment when investing, your ethics, your competence, all of that is under your command. But the market, interest rates, global crises, your competitors' actions, and blind luck, those are external and lie beyond your domain. If you base your peace of mind or your enrichment strategy on what you cannot control, you are doomed to anxiety and frustration. The Stoic, however, flips the focus. You should not concentrate on how much money you expect to earn, but on how well you execute the actions that lead to gain. You will discover that money, real and lasting prosperity, must be a byproduct of your virtue and excellence, what the Greeks called arete. Money can never be the primary goal of your effort. If it is, you become a slave to the whims of fortune. When you channel your energy into being the best professional you can be, producing the most honest, useful, and valuable work, financial reward becomes a logical, almost inevitable consequence. You are not chasing a status symbol, you are chasing excellence. And that excellence commands a high price in the market, a price you are ready to receive. Epictetus reminds us to focus on our prohairesis, our moral choice or faculty of judgment. This applies directly to your professional life. Your work should not be a means to future ostentation, but an exercise of present excellence. You work with integrity because it is the right thing to do, not because you expect a bonus to buy a flashier car. When integrity becomes your standard, it shields you from risky shortcuts, fraudulent investments, and deals that would tarnish your reputation, things that often destroy the wealth that vanity pursues. Consider the practical difference. If you seek money merely to impress, you will make risky and reckless financial decisions, trying to speed the process. You will care little about the actual value of what you're buying, only about the price it signals to the world. But if you seek money as a tool for your autonomy and as a reflection of your arete, you will invest cautiously, study deeply, and choose paths of sustainable growth. Visualize now, you are constructing your financial stronghold. It's a long-term project. The bricks are not forged from haste or greed, but from discipline, unshakable focus, and rational judgment. Each brick represents a day of work well done, a sober investment, an expense avoided out of vanity. You are building something solid, something that can withstand the storm of the next recession, because your foundation is your internal competence, not the house of cards of social approval. This inner focus shields you from the greatest danger, deviation. Many fall into the trap of earning well yet losing all focus at the first sign of success, diverting into hedonistic and superficial consumption. The Stoic, even while becoming wealthy, keeps his gaze fixed on the quality of his work and his self-sufficiency. For you, wealth will not be a medal to hang on the wall, but a silent foundation that guarantees the freedom to practice virtue without worrying about the trivialities of need. That is the true security that excellence provides. Now we move from the realm of philosophy to the practical battlefield, your budget. Seneca bequeathed us the most powerful tool for protecting your wealth from vanity, Seneca's law of consumption. You must confront the mirror of self-imposed necessity. Modern society, driven by marketing and incessant comparison, tries to convince you that you have needs which, in essence, are merely fancied desires: a larger house, a newer car, branded clothes that compel you to incur debt. All of this is sold as essential to your happiness. The Stoic, however, is relentless in his definition of enough. Seneca defines enough as everything that eliminates the pain of genuine need and nothing more. If you are warm, fed, sheltered, and healthy, nature is satisfied. Anything that exceeds that line is luxury. And luxury, even when affordable, represents a vulnerability. You will now be challenged to apply what we call the nature limit. Grab a piece of paper or open your expense spreadsheet. You must be brutally honest. Classify each item of your consumption into two categories. Necessary, what guarantees your health and function, such as basic food, safe housing, and transportation to work, or preferable but non-essential. Most of us err by placing items in the necessary column simply because we have grown accustomed to them. Do you really need that high-priced artisanal coffee every day? Or do you merely need caffeine to function? Do you need a car that loses 30% of its value in the first year, or a safe, reliable mode of transport? By separating the wheat from the chaff, you begin to see the immense waste that your vanity demands. More importantly, you visualize the gigantic margin of safety that can be created through this economizing. Think of your financial security as a bastion. Every vanity-driven expense is a hole you punch in that wall, allowing anxiety and fear to seep through. Simplifying your lifestyle, therefore, is not an impoverishment, but a radical expansion of your safety margin, and, consequently, of your freedom. When your genuine needs are low, your salary can be halved, and you'll still be fine. That is the power of Stoic self-sufficiency. Next, you must cultivate the discipline of "it's not mine." This is a crucial mental concept of detachment. Fortune is fickle. Seneca taught that we should treat all acquired possessions, whether it's your house, your car, or even your body and health, as if they were on loan. You have permission to use and enjoy them, but fundamentally they are not your eternal property. Imagine buying an expensive item that vanity has urged you to acquire. You spend time, energy, and money maintaining, protecting, and flaunting it. But what if it gets stolen tomorrow? What if the economy collapses and you have to sell it for a tenth of its price? The suffering you feel at the loss is directly proportional to your belief that the object was, in fact, yours. Training the mind to treat possessions as borrowed shatters vanity's grip. You can own beautiful, functional, high-quality things, yet you do not depend on them for your identity or happiness. Your neighbors may see your luxury car, but internally you regard it merely as a piece of metal and rubber that serves a practical purpose, knowing it is temporary. You do not define yourself by it. And if you do not define yourself by it, you do not need it to validate your existence. The rule of simplicity you embrace is freedom in its purest form. You will see that the fewer things you need to be happy, the richer you truly are. If you can live with dignity and peace while keeping only the essentials, every dollar you earn beyond that becomes surplus, a capital of liberty that can be invested in building your autonomy, in your education, or in helping others. Vanity demands complexity, more maintenance, more insurance, more security, more time spent managing possessions. Stoic simplicity offers the opposite: less worry, more time for reflection and virtuous action, and an unshakable financial foundation. Seneca's razor is clear. Cut away what is unnecessary for body and mind, and you will preserve your wealth. That is how you ensure that the money you earn, with such effort, will not be diverted by the insatiable desire to appear as something you are not. Now, let's build the mental armor that neither the fire of desire nor the ice of loss can penetrate. The Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the most powerful empire in the world, knew that the true battle for wealth was not fought in vaults, but inside one's own mind. His meditations are, in fact, a manual for constructing that mental resilience, that positive indifference that frees you from the craving for status. You need to master the supreme Stoic technique for immunizing yourself against vanity and fear, negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum. Do not flee from this exercise, embrace it. Pause for a moment and imagine the worst financial catastrophe. You have lost everything, not just the frivolous, but your entire estate, your house, your savings, your investments. Your luxury vanished, and, worse, the superficial respect of those who saw you only for your wallet also disappeared. When you confront this scenario in your mental field of view, you are not preparing for the worst to happen. You are stealing the terror from that event. You discover that, even in material ruin, the most valuable asset you possess, your capacity for reason, your character, your arete, is untouchable by fortune. You realize that your essence cannot be taxed, stolen, or lost on the stock market. This practice uproots vanity because it shows that the foundation of your self-worth has nothing to do with the bank balance you flaunt. Vanity only holds power if you assign moral weight to external objects. It is your judgment, not the object itself, that enslaves you. You must employ Stoic judgment to strip possessions of their false glamour. A high-end watch that costs as much as a car is merely metal, crystal, and a complex gear train. It does not make time pass more slowly nor magically improve your character. A luxury car, no matter how powerful, is just a sophisticated arrangement of metal, plastic, and rubber. The status value of these objects is 100% supplied by you, through your interpretation and the weight you give to social opinion. And if the value is given by you, you have the non-negotiable freedom to withdraw it. Look at the object you most covet out of vanity and repeat to yourself, "This is just metal, fabric, glass." What makes it special is only the fickle opinion of others. By removing the moral weight, you switch off the urgency button of your desire and disarm the trigger of vanity. You may even purchase the item if it is useful and you can afford it, but it will remain merely a tool, never a defining symbol of who you are. Here is a blunt, cutting instruction from Marcus Aurelius that you need to apply to your financial life. Do not live as if you had 10,000 years. This sentence is a reality check because it forces you to confront the scarcest and unrecoverable resource you possess, your time. Consider how much of your lifespan you're willing to trade in order to maintain appearances. Keeping an artificially elevated standard of living demands that you work longer hours, shoulder more stress, and devote time to the upkeep of complex, costly possessions. You are, quite literally, selling precious minutes of your life. Minutes that could be spent with family, on study, on meditation, on virtue, solely so that strangers may form a fleeting, ultimately irrelevant impression of you. This is the greatest financial folly a human being can commit, squandering time, the only finite asset, in pursuit of external validation. When you recognize the intrinsic worth of each day, the desire to waste your time and energy to impress others becomes repulsive. The inner peace you seek, true freedom, lies in using your time for what truly matters, not in feeding the machinery of vanity. Your inner peace is worth more than any status symbol. The Stoic guards what is within. That peace, that serenity in the face of fortune's vicissitudes, is the sole asset that cannot be taxed by the government, stolen by a thief, or lost in the next economic crisis. When you are anchored in the conviction that your happiness depends solely on how you employ your reason and judgment, not on how much you possess, you attain unshakable wealth. Money then becomes what it always should have been, a useful tool to facilitate life, not a flagpole for your ego. You become financially robust, not because you earn more than others, but because you need far less than they do to be fully sufficient. This sufficiency, this self-sufficiency, is the strongest armor against the slavery of vanity. Now that you have fortified your mind against superficial desire, we must train your body for resilience. I present to you the contrast exercise, which we might call Seneca's retreat. You are invited to partake in a practical immersion. For a brief period, choose to live with less. I am not speaking of poverty, but of a voluntary deprivation of the comfort you consider normal. For example, swap your plush mattress for a blanket on the floor for a weekend, or replace your usual meals with simple, functional food, devoid of sophisticated seasonings or expensive ingredients. The goal is to temporarily remove the crutches of luxury. By subjecting yourself to this discipline, you will make a fundamental discovery. You will feel, in your own flesh, the vast difference between the pain of genuine need, hunger, cold, danger, and the mere discomfort of lacking luxury. Vanity despises this exercise because it reveals how little is actually required to live well. The discomfort of voluntary deprivation is tolerable. In fact, it is liberating. You will viscerally discover that genuine appreciation for what you possess only emerges when you experience its absence. Most people only realize how good a warm bed is when they lose it. If you compel yourself to periodically taste the lack of luxury, your sense of gratitude is recalibrated. This shatters the vanity that demands a perpetual and exhausting elevation of standards. The Stoic trains himself to be content with little, so that when abundance arrives, it is merely a bonus. Let's plunge deeper. How would you feel if, all of a sudden, money vanished tomorrow? If your salary were cut off and you had to survive on the bare minimum? The practice of voluntary poverty functions as a mental vaccine. By deliberately courting scarcity in a controlled setting, you fortify your resilience. You prove to yourself that you can endure the downturn, that you are not a fragile creature dependent on your wealth. This renders money a useful servant, never a tyrannical master. This lack of fear of loss is, in fact, a powerful strategic advantage in your financial life. People who dread losing the high standard they have built end up shunning calculated risks and growth opportunities. They cling to jobs they hate or to stalled investments merely to protect comfort. But knowing that you can revert to a simple way of living without it eroding your identity or happiness, you gain the freedom to take risks and to grow. You are no longer afraid of losing what you don't even miss. That is the essence of Stoic immunization. By embracing simplicity, you free yourself from the burden of constantly defending your social standing, turning the fear of scarcity into robust indifference. You construct a psychological foundation where wealth is not a desperate necessity, but a welcome tool you know how to wield, and also know how to live without. That, my friend, is the true freedom of the affluent man. Now we arrive at the final test. After earning money through discipline and shielding it from vanity with simplicity, you must reorient your purpose. The Stoic does not accumulate for accumulation's sake. He accumulates to be liberated. You must ask yourself, relentlessly, has my wealth brought me freedom or golden shackles? You should put your wealth to this say-no test. Do your assets and accumulated capital give you the autonomy to say no to a job that corrodes your soul, that forces you to act against your ethics? Do they allow you to distance yourself from toxic people or relationships that undermine your peace because you are not financially dependent on them? Or does the high cost of living you have imposed on yourself, driven by vanity, compel you to remain in an unsustainable consumption cycle, chained to a desk you despise merely to service the next installment of a status symbol? If your wealth requires you to labor like a slave to maintain it, it is not freedom. It is the most elegant of prisons. True financial freedom, Stoic self-sufficiency, is having enough to sustain your virtuous life without needing the approval, whims, or tyranny of others. That is the crucial distinction. Money is a shield of your autonomy rather than a scepter of ostentation. The Stoic teaches us how to employ wealth in a way that fortune cannot overturn. Material riches are volatile. They can be taxed, they can be burned. Yet there exists a kind of expenditure that becomes an eternal investment. Investment in your character, your education, and service to the community. When you spend money to acquire a new skill, to nurture your mind and judgment, or to alleviate another's suffering, that outlay is intrinsically bound to your virtue. You acquire knowledge that no one can steal, and you forge a reputation of integrity that even bankruptcy cannot tarnish. Consider the mansion risk, a classic vanity scenario. You purchase that sprawling house, far beyond your actual needs, merely to signal success. What have you truly bought? You have bought a second job. You are now burdened with higher taxes, more complex insurance, astronomical maintenance bills, and, worse, the perpetual need for security and surveillance. The house, which should be a sanctuary, becomes a burden that demands your constant attention and cash flow. You have paid the price of vanity, and that price is your time and your peace. The Stoic, who values function over luxury, asks, does this asset increase my capacity to live a virtuous life, or does it merely add to my complexity and vulnerability? If the answer is the latter, you must resist. The opportunity cost of each dollar spent on ostentation is a reduction in your freedom. The legacy you build is the final test. Those around you will judge your success not by your possessions, but by how you conduct yourself and how you employ your resources. You will discover that the greatest Stoic wealth is the ability to be useful to others, to contribute to society, without relying on their superficial admiration or approval. When you use your wealth to found a school, support a noble cause, or simply be a pillar of integrity in your community, you are investing in something that transcends matter. This utility is proof of your virtue, and it is what constructs an unshakable legacy. You have therefore seen that the key to enduring prosperity is not how much you earn, but the absolute control you wield over what you earn and, crucially, over what you spend. Vanity is the greatest enemy of financial freedom and peace of mind. Your ultimate commitment, starting today, must be this. Promise yourself that your next financial decision will be guided by reason and virtue, by utility and by purity, and never by the fleeting desire to be seen or admired. The unshakable wealth you build does not reside in a bank. It resides in your disciplined soul. This is the only investment that guarantees a 100% return, because regardless of what fortune does with your material assets, your integrity and inner peace will remain intact. Begin building that wealth today by living on less than you can afford and by cultivating indifference toward everything beyond your control. True gold is not what you accumulate, but the character you forge in the process. Are you ready for that freedom? You have walked the entire path. You have seen that the true leverage for unshakable wealth lies not in how much you can accumulate, but in the rigorous control you exert over that capital, and, above all, over your own desire. The Stoic key is the difference between a hefty salary squandered on ostentation and a modest salary that yields a deep, silent freedom. Look to your future. You can choose to live to satisfy the market's vanity, working to pay for goods that grant you fleeting validation, or you can choose Stoic freedom, where every dollar earned becomes a seed of autonomy. What I ask of you now is a non-negotiable commitment to yourself. Promise that your next financial decision, whether a small purchase or a major investment, will be guided by reason and the virtue of self-sufficiency. Do not spend to be seen. Spend to be free, to learn, to grow, and to help. This is the only way to ensure that the money you earn through such effort will not be eroded by others' opinions. The wealth that fortune cannot take from you is your own disciplined soul. The ability to be happy with little and to wield abundance wisely is the sole investment that guarantees a 100% return in the only currency that truly matters, your inner peace. Your journey towards Stoic prosperity begins now.